So what is absolute truth then, right? Absolute truth is very, very different than relative truth. When we're fully present, we're in absolute truth. Absolute truth is beyond concepts. It's starting to come back to the 0 point, come back to the original, the beginning, without all these relative thoughts. And from here, there's just an awareness and a wisdom comes from this because we have this very expanded consciousness. Our concepts limit us. Every concept we have limits us smaller and smaller. The world becomes smaller the more we know about it, the more knowledge we have about it, the smaller it is. Without any knowledge, it's wide open. We can see everything. But with a lot of knowledge, we start seeing a world through knowledge, through our thoughts, not perceiving it wide open as it is, without the thoughts, without the concepts. And the mind doesn't want to do this because it's beyond the mind. We're sort of experiencing the world not only through the mind, but through our body, through the pores in our body, through our heart, through everything. We're just experiencing it wide open. All perceptions are on full. There's no filters. Thoughts, concepts are filters. So we've taken the filters off and we're just experiencing life flat out as it is. And because there's so much, we can't make a thought about it. There's too much for us to contain in a thought. That would just be limiting it. That would just not be what it is. So eventually we get used to that. Just being with this, just being. So if we want to know who we are, we go back to just being, just existence, without any thoughts about what we are. This pure presence, pure existence, just that, before any thoughts. And that has a certain quality to it that's more original, more pure, more true. The more we surrender, the more we come into this absolute truth. It has to do with giving up the filters, giving up with what's in the way of it. Because absolute truth is always here. It's not an attainment. It's a giving up what's in the way, a parting of the veils so that we can see what's actually here without anything hiding it. There's not that much that can be said about absolute truth, even though I'm saying a lot. It's kind of like I'm not saying anything because we can't make this into a concept. This is freedom from concepts. This is the original state. And there's great freedom in absolute truth because we're not afraid of dying. We're not worried about survival. We're not judging anything. We have no good and bad. There is no good and bad in absolute truth. Things are just as they are. And we don't have any thoughts or judgments about what they are. They just are. And seeing from absolute truth, we can look at relative truth. Relative truth is how we function in the world. We don't function in the world per se from absolute truth, from having no judgments, no opinions, nothing. It would kind of reduce our ability to function. What would we choose to eat when we're shopping at a store? It's like there's no judgment, no opinion. I guess you just stand there looking at the shelves without getting anything. It's not how we function in the world. But from here, we have this great wisdom because the relative world, which we call the dream world, we can live in it, but not be overcome by it, not be affected by it, because we see it as relative truth. We see it as a dream. So it doesn't get us all bent out of shape, It doesn't overwhelm us. It doesn't confuse us. We're confused when we live entirely in the dream, entirely in relative truth without knowing absolute truth. It's very confusing because since everything in the relative world is true relatively, our beliefs are constantly being threatened by the opposite, which is also true. So life is constantly trying to show us, yeah, you have this belief, but the opposite is also true. And we, no, 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 I want my belief. I don't want that. So it's very confusing, right? Life doesn't cooperate with our relative beliefs. It's constantly showing us something different. And that we find discouraging and disillusioning and disappointing and all these different things, you know. Maybe there's a job that we really want. We think, oh, this is the best job. I hope I get this job. And then we don't get that job. We're very disappointed. I worked so hard and I wanted that job so much and I didn't get it. But maybe that's not a good job for us, right? We haven't seen the opposite. We're thinking, no, it is a good job. I know this is the perfect job for me. And we're not seeing it's the worst job for me. We're not seeing the opposite relative truth. So we're very disappointed. But life may be showing us this is not the job for you. That's why you didn't get it. This is not the perfect job for you. If it was the perfect job, then you'd have it, right? That would be part of the perfection is you would have the job, but you don't have it. So it's not perfect. And maybe if you actually work there, you would find this is not the right job for me. I don't know why. This is not good. So from the absolute perspective, we have a lot of freedom to deal with the concepts in the dream and how the world works. We see that both and are true, not either or. That relative truths, that the opposite is just as true as what we think is true in relative truth. There are no opposites in absolute truth. You can't even make one concept to have an opposite. So there are no opposites in absolute truth. That's why it's absolute. It's absolute truth. But it's not a concept. It's not a thought. It's not anything that we can describe or say or other than saying it's all this or something extremely vague. What does that mean? I mean, from relative truth, all this just means, you mean my room? Is that it? He's talking about my room. Yeah. And the room's included in absolute because absolute includes everything. But it includes everything, not just the room. So from absolute truth, we look at our relative truth, survival is good, and say, yes, and also bad. We don't get attached to that. It's good because we want to survive in these bodies. We're in a body, we have a body, we're in a body. That's a good thing. We can experience the world through this body. And that's not why we have these conditioned veils of relative truth, because we have a body. That's not why. It's our society. Our minds have been conditioned. Our minds are very much like a computer, very much like a hard drive. I mean, things that go in, and they go in, they stay there. Just like a hard drive. You type in something into the hard drive, I'm recording this, it's going into a hard drive, and it just takes everything. It's not saying, okay, I'm recording this, but not that. It would be very disappointed if our hard drive did that, wouldn't we? Wait a minute, I thought somebody said this, I wanted this in there, or I just wrote this, where is it? The hard drive says, no, I don't want that. We take everything in, and what we filter out, we're only filtering out of our conscious. Our unconscious is taking all of it. We've got the whole deal in there. I had surgery about 10 years ago, and they put you under, and doctors feel that, he doesn't know what's happening. He's under surgery. We can just, it's like he's now like a table or just this object there. We can talk about it and we can do whatever. And if something goes wrong, he doesn't know. So he's not going to be disturbed by it. He's unconscious. But actually, I remembered all of it. It wasn't my conscious mind that they put to sleep, but the unconscious was wide awake and it got all of it. And when that came back, it was quite disturbing to me. The things that went on in that room were not something that I would have preferred to have happen, you know. But that's what happens. We are like a hard drive. We're taking in everything. We're just filtering out the things that don't fit in with our concepts, our beliefs. So that's why our life is so limited when we live in a relative world. But when we can open up and say, yes, and this is also true, we're opening up more. Someone comes and they disagree with us about something, maybe a political thing or something, and we can't hear their point of view. We can't hear what they're saying because we're so hung up on our own beliefs. We're so filtered out that no, that person's an idiot, cancel, cancel, I don't want to hear that. But in the unconscious, it all comes in, so we actually try and stay away from people that disagree with us because we kind of have this sense that we're still getting all that stuff and we don't want it. It doesn't fit in with our beliefs. And so we're missing their point of view. If we were open, would go just totally listen to their point of view. And maybe at the end would say, oh, yeah, okay, my candidate does suck. I don't want this candidate anymore. I want the other one. Or it would just say, oh, I don't have, I don't have any judgments anymore because I think both are good and bad. What can I say? Both are good and bad. From absolute truth, relative truth, a lot of things just get sort of canceled out. Good and bad don't make any sense anymore. If they're both good and bad at the same time, then where's good and bad? It just sort of dissolves. Yet in the human world, someone may ask us something, and the appropriate response is good or bad to what they're saying. Say that's good or that's bad. Like if they're crying about some terrible thing that happened to them, unless they're awake enough for us to bring them to that space where there is no good and bad, it's better to just say, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, that was bad. That's what they want to hear. That's the appropriate thing to say. Even if we know that good and bad are just relative things that actually, in truth, have no meaning. But they do have meaning in the dream. They do have meaning for how we conduct our life. So we conduct our life, except we have freedom of not being attached to them anymore. That's the benefit that we get from being in absolute truth. Being in absolute truth, we may call samadhi, is one word for it. It's like all the concepts fall away. The whole world of the dream falls away. And there's just this original nature, this original source. But it's not how we function in the world. So to function in the world, we come back into the world, but the more we stay in this place of samadhi, the more freedom we have over our perceptions of the dream. It's kind of like we're lucid dreaming. Have you heard of that? Lucid dreaming? Lucid dreaming means you're having a dream, but you're dreaming. If you've ever had that experience, like, oh, I'm having a dream, but I know I'm dreaming, while I'm having the dream. So the dream, all of a sudden, it doesn't mean that much to you. You're not afraid of something happening, of something bad's going to happen, because it's just a dream. You're just sort of observing it happening. And it doesn't have that much impact on you anymore. And that's like lucid dreaming in the waking dream. While we're in the waking dream, while I'm talking to you, you appear to be different bodies. This is a dream. This is my dream. My perceptions of life are my dream. But this doesn't bother me, because it's a waking dream. I mean, a lucid dream. I'm aware of this. I'm aware that my perceptions are not reality, they're not absolute truth. So I'm free with them. I can experience them and actually experience them more fully because I'm not trying to resist them, right? I don't have any reason to resist them. If an uncomfortable feeling comes up, I don't have a reason to resist it. I don't really want to resist it. It's just an experience happening in this relative truth, in this dream. So I can open to it fully and just experience it. And this is a better way to live, to be open to life in every aspect of it. Joy feels more joyful. Pain feels more painful, but not in a bad way, because it's not going to overwhelm us. We're aware of it, but we feel and experience everything. We don't filter out anything. Our life is no longer small, contained in this little tiny thought world. We're in a thought world, but it contains much more. It contains the opposite perspectives. And we're flexible. We're free like this. Relative truth is not wrong. It's not bad truth. The dream is not wrong. It's not bad. We function in a dream. This is how we function in the world. We have to have a dream. We just don't have to believe it. We don't have to be attached to it. It's not my way or the highway. It's every way and the highway. It includes everything. We allow everything to be here. To lucidly dream in a waking dream is to be in absolute truth and relative truth at the same time. And we have to. That's the way we function in the world. If we just stayed in absolute truth, we would probably just sit and not move. We'd just be in absolute truth. All of it would just be, it'd be beautiful. It is beautiful. That's what the experience of samadhi is. There's not a great incentive to come out of it at all. But somehow we just do, because we have to function, we have to do something, we have an appointment, we have to meet somebody, we have to you know do something in the world. I remember Muji had this was talking to someone, and they were having a great time. The person was totally waking up to their experience of the dream and absolute truth. And Muji said, from one dreamer to another. Meaning that they were both in the dream. They were both seeing each other as dream people, but they were free of the dream. They were having fun with the dream because the dream didn't bother them. It didn't overwhelm them. They didn't believe it. It was like lucid dreaming. They knew they were dreaming while they're dreaming. And that's the freedom of awakening, you know. That's the freedom of samadhi. That's the freedom of when all the illusions, when the dream parts, when the veil parts. There isn't anything we can really say about that, what truth is. But when we experience it, we do experience it. It's undeniable. It's undeniably true. And it's absolutely true. It's not like we can't go deeper into this absolute truth and it reveals more to us. That goes on infinitely. Everything is revealed in absolute truth. Everything in the dream is also revealed in absolute truth. It's not like we're in absolute truth and we can't see the dream anymore from there. Absolute truth includes everything. Dream, illusion, everything. But it's seen clearly without judgments and opinions and things like that. And eventually we live in a different way in the world of the dream. We may have an opinion, but we know it's an opinion. It just doesn't mean that much to us. Before, my opinion is very important. Very important. That's my opinion. It's like our truth. We believe my opinion is somehow truth, is reality. Your opinion is horrible, and my opinion is great. This is a good opinion, and your opinion is very bad. That's how we feel. But when we realize that my opinion is an opinion, and there's like an infinite number of opinions around, and mine is just one of them, and all of them have a relative truth, and none of them have an absolute truth, including mine. It just falls away. That's why I say that if our goal is truth, is absolute truth above everything else, it's a good goal to have, because we can keep letting illusions fall away, because they're not more important than truth is. It's why my opinions are not that important to me, because what's important is truth. That's very important to me. Not in a grasping kind of a way, or even a searching way. It's just has the number one priority all the time. So when I have an opinion, I realize that's just my opinion. It's not truth. So I'll have an opinion, but I don't care about it. If it's useful to have an opinion, if someone said, you must say what you think about this, what your opinion is, you have to tell me what your opinion is, I won't let go, and I really need to know your opinion. If that's true, then I'll say, oh, okay, that's my opinion. And I won't even tell them that it's meaningless to me. It's kind of even hard to have an opinion, but you can come up with one. It's like when you see, if you pay attention to life, life will show you that what you thought was good could very well be bad, and what you thought was bad could very well be good, until it neutralizes them and you don't know what's good or bad anymore. Something you say, well, I think this is good, but in the past I've seen that it doesn't turn out that way, so I don't really know. I don't know what's good or bad. That again is freedom. If we have to use the word good and bad, we can. I mean, we have an opinion about a flavor of ice cream or something that we like. Fine. It's no problem. But attachment to that is suffering, isn't it? We go to the ice cream store and I only like pistachio ice cream. That's the best. No other ice cream is good. I hate all the other ones. This one's great. And they're out of that. And we're very unhappy. Like, oh, I came all the way to the store to get this. I was looking forward to it, and you don't have it? And no store has it? I can't have it. And we feel very disappointed. Right? It's not pistachio ice cream or that the store is out of pistachio ice cream. It's our opinion. It's our attachment. That's why we're feeling unhappy. It has nothing to do with the events that are going on. Isn't this all our suffering just comes from these attachments, these beliefs and concepts? If we think something is bad and then it happens, then we're very unhappy about it. But if we don't have any feeling about it one way or another and it happens, so what? Right? That's it. This event happened, but it doesn't affect us because we don't care one way or another. It's only our feelings and attachments and thoughts about it that are creating all this suffering that we have. That's the beauty of suffering because it teaches us this if we pay attention. In absolute truth, we know this is true. We can see it clearly from absolute truth. But also, life is showing us this. Life is continually showing us this. Life is like absolute truth in a way. It's always showing us what's true. It's always teaching us what's true. That's why the best spiritual teacher we could ever have is life. It's always available to us 24/7. It's always here, and it's always true. It never is deluded or lying or pointing to itself, like absolute truth. Absolute truth is not on an ego trip. Considering how amazing it is and how it includes everything, it never points to itself and says, look at me, I'm pretty special, aren't I? I'm absolute truth. Aren't I wonderful?